Hello! For anybody who watches my videos, you will probably notice that there's a bit of a change of scene. Don't ask me why. I felt like filming here today. I'm just in a bit of a cosy mood. Didn't really fancy the kitchen. Don't know about the lighting though, that's the only thing. So it might be the first and last time I film in here. But yeah, I've got my hoodie on, I've got a nice cup of coffee. I just fancied filming near the fireplace today, so hopefully it's not too distracting. For anybody who is not new to my channel. So if you are new, I am Jess. I am a recovering vegan avoidant, and I'm also the creator of this channel, Secure Links. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome. Thanks for watching. So diving straight in, today I kind of want to just touch on self-abandonment and learning self-trust. So self-abandonment is when you are dismissing your own experiences and your own thoughts because you either believe or think that you are wrong, or you don't trust yourself enough internally to validate your own experiences and share them externally. So you don't internally believe them, so you externally don't voice them. So when you get a bad feeling or you have an opposing opinion to somebody else, what you'll tend to do is like hold it in instead of expressing it, and you'll just like go with the flow and you'll people please a lot. Instead of just standing up for what you actually believe in and what you think, you'll hold it in. And then even when you kind of know that you have a feeling and you don't really like something, instead of just believing yourself and trusting yourself, you will go around and ask multiple people to verify how you're feeling, validate how you're feeling. Ask like, do you think this is okay? Like, do you, and you'll question a lot with other people instead of just knowing that you don't like something or you don't believe in something yourself and going and expressing that yourself. You'll need a lot of backup, and usually from just anyone. Like, the more people that you can get to be on your side about it before you confront the issue, the better in your eyes. Ultimately, what you're asking is this okay for me to be feeling this way? And this is like a telltale sign that you aren't trusting yourself, and in fact you're just abandoning yourself time and time again. Now this can be from growing up in a dysfunctional family where our thoughts and reality was questioned a lot of the time. Our feelings were constantly invalidated, and what happens when we are gaslit from a very, very young age? Now, for those of you that don't really know what gaslighting is, it's when someone, in this case, more than likely parents or caregivers, cause you to question the validity of your own thoughts, your own reality, your own memories. There'll be a lot of like, no, it didn't happen that way when you bring something up, when in fact it did actually happen that way. And this leads to a lot of confusion in the mind of a child, and a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem, and also a lack of self-trust. Okay, so why is this even a bad thing in relationships? Well, when you are conforming to other people, you're not being authentic to yourself, and ultimately you are basing a relationship on dishonesty. And your thoughts and beliefs, they don't just go away because you're conforming to the other person. You're in the back of your mind, like hating on yourself because you're like, well, I'm not sticking up for myself here. I'm just going along with what they want to do or what they're saying is right, and I don't really believe it, but you know, I'm so worried that I'm going to lose this person, I'm going to go along with it. This massively affects your self-esteem. You shouldn't be doing it. And ultimately, when you are authentic and you show up as yourself, the people in your life that accept you for you, and they don't mind that you're, questioning them or you have an opposing opinion to them. In fact, the people that care about you are really going to respect you a lot more for standing up for yourself and saying what you think. And if they don't, then they're probably not meant to be in your life anyway. Something I want to point out is just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't always mean that it has to be right. And I think a lot of us kind of program this way that if we don't agree with somebody, it's going to blow up into this massive fight, maybe because of our childhood. And that's ultimately what's programmed into our brain. It isn't true. You know, these people that actually respect and care about you, they want to hear your opinions and your side of things. If you don't like something, then you need to stand your ground, and it is so, so important. So how do we do that? So we have to build self-trust within ourselves. So our knee-jerk reaction isn't just to agree with the person and people please and go into people pleasing mode and just say what we think the other person wants to hear from us. Like, sometimes we have to stop and take a second before we actually answer, and let words come out of our mouth in order to like register what's going on and think, like, is this what actually I'm thinking and what I'm believing, or is it just literally a knee-jerk reaction to get the other person to like us and respect us? Now, this next point is a little bit deep, but when we don't have like strong self-trust, we are leaving so much room for toxic partners to come into our lives, because when we see red flags in somebody else, we don't have strong self-trust. Often what we're going to do is brush. I'm getting distracted by my dog. 1 second. Sorry, my dog. I had the letterbox and he was trying to get to it. He likes to try and eat porcelain, even though he's like this big. Anyway, going back to the last point, it leaves so much room for toxic partners to come into our life because when we're not trusting ourselves and we see these red flags, usually we're not actually going to believe them in ourselves. We're just going to assume that we're wrong and brush it under the carpet. And then when we don't pick up on the first few red flags and think maybe this relationship isn't for me, instead we ignore them and then we get attached to these unhealthy individuals and it becomes much harder to leave them and we end up being in a relationship much longer than we should be, usually until something really, really bad and traumatic happens, so that we're left with this now even more trauma to unpack than our childhood. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of that's what I'm used to, so that's what I'm going to put into my life. Instead of believing ourselves when we see these red flags and thinking, hang on, I don't like that, or even like addressing it with the other person. You know, we can, if it's something small and we address it with the other person, that thing could be, brought to light and we could maybe push through it and work through it together. But if we're not trusting ourselves, we're not even going to bring that to light, we're just going to ignore it, which is definitely not what you should be doing. If you're having trouble with discernment and trusting yourself and when things come up in you, wondering like, am I actually right for feeling this? I encourage you to have 1, 2 close friends or family members that you trust have your best interest at heart, that you can go and ask, what do you think about this to them? But this is totally different to like going into your workplace and speaking to every single person in the workplace and asking like, what do you think? What do you think? Am I right for this? Am I wrong for this? Because that is self-abandonment. But having like a couple of individuals that you trust will give you some good advice can really help you in coming up with a decision. And even though this might be a good option, I really, really want to encourage you to use your own like bodily sensations. Like when a boundary is being crossed for me, I know that there's 2 types of way that I can respond to that. Being a fearful avoidant, I have an abandonment trigger, and I also have an engulfment trigger, and I have like a trust trigger too. But there's 2 kind of bodily sensations that can go on. So when I'm kind of leaning more on my anxious side, I'll find that I'm getting really hot when the boundary is being crossed. I might feel like my heart rate goes up, I'm feeling a bit flushed. I talk a lot more than like normal, I'm just gabbiting on and saying things that I necessarily don't mean, but it's kind of what I think the other person might want to hear. I might get a little bit hot and sweaty, feeling really like red in the face. And then if I'm being triggered on the other side, I can feel a little bit shut down. Not really wanting to talk, needing some space, or even I just get less talkative. And I just like, And even that can still be people pleasing and saying what the other person wants to hear, but just not yapping on. So then I could be like, yeah. And then in my head I'm thinking, I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? So watching your bodily sensations and realising when a boundary has been crossed, when you don't like something and you feel like, actually, I think I need to speak up in this moment. If you can observe the feelings that come along with the sensations of a boundary being crossed, then often you can start to learn to trust yourself and pick up on these bodily sensations. If you haven't spoken up in the moment, it's not too late to readdress the situation. I think a lot of people get stuck on this as well. They think that just because they've agreed to something in one moment, they can't go back to the person later on and say, actually, I've had a thought, I've been thinking on this and I don't actually agree with it. I don't actually want to go ahead and do that, or whatever it is. If in that moment that something comes up and you aren't sure how you feel about it, pull your phone out, pop some little notes in your notes app on your phone and revisit it later when you're alone. When you're alone, you can revisit it, which will help you come to a final decision of whether you're going with your own belief system or you just conform to another person. Going alongside this is trusting your intuition. So how many times have you had like a gut feeling about somebody, you've ignored it and you have been right, and you're like, oh, I want to kick myself because literally I had a feeling about this person and I ignored it. And now I've got myself in such a mess just for not listening to my intuition and my gut instinct. For me, this is time and time again in my life. And it was so frustrating until I started to learn how to trust myself and trust my intuition. And now, so before, if I was in a group setting, for example, and I was sat next to somebody and the energy just felt off, this person is talking, not really like leaving much room for you to speak, just the energy's off, you don't like it. What I would not normally do, not even really that long ago, I would think, maybe I'm just going to stay in people place and try and fix the issue. Instead of getting up and removing myself from that situation, even make an excuse to go and get a drink or something else and then sitting back and eat something else. Trust your intuition. It's there for a reason. Something that really, really helped me to learn how to trust myself is journaling. What happens when I do trust myself and stand up for what I believe in versus when I don't? And what is the outcome of that? And when you can see it on black and white on paper in your journal, you can go back to it at a later date and be like, yeah, I was right. And it's just, get it in, concrete it into your brain that it is good to believe in yourself, trust your intuition, and not just conform to everybody else. Everyone is different. It doesn't always mean because you have a different an opposing opinion or a different opinion or a different belief that you were wrong, they're right, they're wrong, you're right. We're just different. And sometimes people just aren't meant to be friends or in a relationship with each other. We're just not compatible, and that is okay. All this is going to do is draw healthy relationships into your life instead of really toxic ones that you're just not meant to be around. And you will be a lot less hurt and a lot happier. One last little tip before I end this video. Something that something that helped me to build trust within myself is oftentimes I would say that I'm going to do something over and over and over again. I wouldn't do it. So something like I would say that I was going to go to the gym before work, but because I would have to set my alarm, say like 2-3 hours before I would normally have to get up, firstly, to get up and get sorted for the gym and go to the gym, and then maybe you have to drive the other way. So it's easy to go back home and have some breakfast and then get ready for work and then go to work. And it seems a little bit overwhelming when you haven't done that and you're used to setting an alarm just in time for you to go to work. Then when you don't do it, you basically internalise this as, see, I told you I couldn't rely on myself, I wouldn't do what I say I would do, and this and that. Start small. So if you think it seems overwhelming to get up and go to the gym in the morning, get up an hour before your alarm and do a 20-minute workout, and then, you have a little bit of extra time to mess around and get your gym equipment out, do your workout, have a shower, be nice and relaxed, you're not in a rush. What happens when you do these little micro habits is you create a dopamine release in your brain, and then each time it gets easier and easier because your brain actually wants to do it because it knows it's going to get the dopamine release from it, and then you can increase the workout time, and then eventually it's easier then to get up and go to the gym. Or if you say, for example, want to start drinking 3 litres of water every day, but you don't really drink a lot of water at all, so that might seem like a massive change to you. What you could do is start drinking 3 or 4 extra glasses than you normally do of water a day and slowly increase it. And every time you achieve this goal, you are increasing the self-trust within yourself. Okay, I'm conscious that this video is getting a little bit lengthy now, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope at least a few people took something away from this video. If you did, please pop a comment below and let me know, how it helped you, what things you might start implementing into your daily routine. And if you liked the video, please consider popping a thumbs up or subscribing to my channel for similar content. And I hope you have